Hi, my name's Ken. We're here today with Dave Rees and Loader UK on farms looking at the new rodent Harmonix rodent paste. We've produced a series of how to use guides for you to have a look at.
So we're going to look at Harmonix rodent paste. It's a 20-gram sachet full of fats and oils and good things that make it attractive. We're going to show you how to put it out, where to put it, how to use it. We'll be putting it out because we know we've got an established rodent population here on site. Monitoring baits that we could use at the same time is once we've got this problem under control, we can then put down a monitoring bait to know what we've got in the future. We can put up to 200 grams per bait point. Between 1 and 200 grams is good. Every sort of 3 to 10 meters, depending on infestation. A good amount is to put sort of 100, 150 grams per bait point. I probably would be keener to put enough bait points in the linear meterage. I wouldn't go above sort of 6 or 7 meters. Once you're trying to get them to feed, you can go in 2 or 3 days later and take up bait if it's not being taken, but you need to try and get that bait takes early doors. Just putting them onto a board, screw a screw, nail, we can just push them over, hold them on there. There's 60 grams there, 80 grams, 100 grams, quite easily fits on there. You can go and take that and put that around your building. Putting them, as I say, every sort of 4 or 5 meters down to sort of 3 meters is good. Get that bait in there. You've established your problem, you know you've got one. You'd be expecting them to check that within 24 hours of putting it down. If you've got bait takes and those have gone, you can either double up and put it on the extra screw. You could put half on each screw. You've got options, but you can't let those rats run out. They need to keep eating. At day 2, they'll stop eating. It'll have a stop feed effect. So you will potentially see a decline in the amount of bait being taken. That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. You need to see that happening. But keeping the bait there as they go through their hierarchy cycles, you've got dominant rats will come and take their feed. They'll move up the cycles. Your less dominant rats will come and take their feed, and then your juveniles will come. That's when you're trying to get your 7-day control. Topping up of the bait is key. Keeping bait in front of them, keeping it in a position where you finished your campaign, you know you've got no rats left. You can then retrieve that bait, take it up, and stop the environmental problems that we get by leaving bait down, non-targets. You cannot just place bait on its own unless it's protected in a bait station and fixed in a bait station. You cannot just place bait anywhere. Using a bait station, the covering of the bait, whichever you're more comfortable with on farm. If you've already got established bait stations where you know you've got rats coming to and using, putting the Harmonix bait within that bait station, fantastic. You've covered all the boxes. Using bait like this on nails and screws, we need to cover that. We're going to show you now in a minute what to do, where to place it, and we can cover that up. If you pick that up and you've placed it there on your run, then you look at it and you pick it up. Now you put it here, bit of a waste of time because that rat knew it was here. It's now moved. He now becomes a little bit more shy of it. They get that urine trail going, and once they get that scent and they're following it, you put something in the way of that scent, they suddenly go, ooh, it's changed. I'm gonna change my route. They leave the bait behind and go somewhere else. And if they don't come across bait and they go back to the spilt food, something around them, they're not getting the bait. And ultimately we need them to take that bait. So making that attractive by keeping it in situ as long as you can. If they're not taking it on sort of day 5, 6, yes, potentially move that bait point. It's no use. Move it to somewhere where they are taking it, but you need to hold your nerve that they will just take it within a few days. So today we're going to have a look around a pig unit with Ken to see what we can find and see if there's any activity and anywhere we can see to place some bait. The advantage with Harmonix rodent paste is that you can burrow bait and put it very close to where they're living, and that is the number one priority really, is to try and feed that rat at home if you can, or as close as you can to home. and certainly intercepting between home and his normal food source. And if you can intercept the two, you stand a good chance of getting consumption quite quick. There's quite a lot of fans and control mechanisms and stuff within pig buildings that require not to be chewed. There's wires for fans and temperature sensors and different things. You just don't want them in there. They are a disease risk, especially in sort of inside the building. They are a disease risk. Outside the building, they're the same risk as any other farm. If you keep food around, that rat's quite happy to stay around on the farm. Mouse is very happy to stay around on the farm. They don't disappear. Numbers will tail down, but they wouldn't necessarily go to zero. Come winter time, they take off. Pigs generally keep quite warm in the buildings as well, so they do quite like it. If they can get in there somewhere in safety, they will get in them. Try and bait outside as much as you can. You struggle to bait within a pig building generally. It's difficult because there's not many places for bait to be placed, because the pigs have access to a big percentage of that floor area. Yes, if you could get it in the roof and secure it in the roof, then you're okay. But generally speaking, it's outside. You need to try and bait them outside before they get there, or intercept between where they're living and where they're feeding. So if that allows them to come out before they go back in to feed, then try and feed them there. Obviously below the slats in the tank area, you need to tether it onto some wire or something under there. It's safe as houses effectively under there to feed rats. But again, it can be difficult getting the bait there. You put it on a wire and drop it through the slat bar down towards the crust on the muck where they're running around. And if you can get that, then you stand a chance of controlling them. They can be in the muck, feed bins, feeding areas where the pigs are being fed. If they're in the crusty layer on top of the muck, and live in there and come up through to feed. If it's a straw-based system, they'll generally be on where the feed is. They won't live in the straw with the pigs, because the pigs will kill them and eat them. So they've got to stay away from the pigs. That is an advantage, stroke disadvantage with pigs. You don't want them, they will eat them and they will kill them. So they will probably stay clear of them. The Harmonix bait, far less likely to be toxic when they are dead. Where your brodifacoums and flumecophens and stuff, they can be highly, highly OD'd, which gives them a toxicity quite high. Tell me what you're seeing there that tells me that what's going on.
No cobwebs.
Yeah, give you that. Urine and dust, basically.
Yeah.
Look, probably a little bit of scratch marks on there, but that is where they're going in. So they'll come through here, in there. Perfect little entry point for them. Right in that corner is where they are running. You see like a brown spikes there, the urine piles of the mice running around in that corner, going in that block wall, not the back of the wall somewhere. This is where I would say they're coming from outside, dropping down and then going back under there and then following these cables around. That there, wash my hands, but that's urine, that is. That's what they're getting, and that's how they're following themselves. They follow that urine trail, so a mouse will follow the smell from before. Rats do the same, don't they? But mice actually produce, I've seen urine piles, best part of a centimetre high, where they're climbing over the top of it. But yeah, that's what that is starting to form in there. They only have to stop by and have a chew. Yeah, I don't know whether they're all armoured or what they are, but yeah, they are. But like ideally, it's the age-old proofing thing. We need to put some cables through into here. Someone's made a reasonable job there because they've blocked it all up. Someone there didn't make a very good job at all because they've whacked a 5-inch square hole out to put 2 inches of cables through. So now there's a massive entry point where they haven't gone in the original or wherever that one is, but that one they have. There's bits of holes and stuff within them. There's a nest, an old nest under there with would appear to be a dead rat in it. So we're going to do some burrow baiting. We've got 100 grams of Harmonix rodent bait here. If we put it in the front of the hole and then just guide it down into the hole just a good distance. from where they are, and then place a board over the front of the hole just to block it in, stop non-targets get in there, and just make the rat a little bit less likely to want to come out, so he's more likely to eat the bait inside. So a good reason to block over the hole is to stop the rat expelling the bait, injecting that bait back out of there. Suddenly it becomes in the open. It could be down here, so any other non-targets can come along and pick it up. If you just cover it over, it stops them doing it quite so easily. I think if you leave them open, they are more likely to expel it, but like that hole, they're less likely to expel than they are that one. Because he's more vertical, it's harder for them to chuck it back up. If you put it down that one, they're less likely to chuck it back out. So this bait point, now we've put it here, needs checking daily at least, just to check that nothing has been expelled and nothing has happened. Obviously, if you find any dead rodents, you need to pick those up, and any spilled bait, either put it back down the hole or retrieve it and take it away. And then what you've got gone, you need to replenish that bait. So if it's gone within, say, a day and you've put 100 grams, you can double that up to 200 grams if they're still feeding. But just bear in mind, day 2 you'll have the stop feeding effect, so they will stop feeding. You just need to keep a little bit of bait there then for the younger rats to come up to. Just in hedgerow that's probably got activity in it. We've got activity down here. We've already got the perfect tunnel, this piece of tin we can lift. We know they're happy with it. We know they will use this area. So if we position that under there, it's a perfect run. They're happy with it. It's already in their environment. They saw it yesterday, they'll see it tomorrow, and they will use that and find the bait, and we get bait takes quick. Best way of getting a rat or mouse really to take bait is to try and leave everything undisturbed by putting bait in their environment in a safe covered place. If you can find stuff that's already here, if you do a lot of movement and moving bait, they then have a natural fear factor not to take on the new bait that you've put down, because you've added a new thing to their environment and changed their environment, so now they don't like it. So you'll struggle to get bait takes. And we've got a bit more natural coverage there, haven't we, to produce the tunnel we want, like that. We've got a good place. They'll come through in here and run along there. One of the areas on a livestock farm is where bales are stacked like this. If you do have a problem with rodents and rats in them, a good way is to put 100 grams of bait, 5 sachets onto a nail, push them under the building, under the bale, and then put a piece of wood in front of it. You could take a bale down and put a bale in front of it to block the off if you're moving them, but something like that in front just to stop any access of anything is good. Like I say, the bale down and put the bale against here will work quite well as well. I'd go with 3 baiting points across this sort of area. More is good. They're obviously retrievable from being put on the nail, so you can take them back up. That is good. If you've still got bait left there after 2 days, that's handy. If it's still there untouched after sort of 5, 6, 7, 8 days, then potentially take it up. It's not going to get used. Move it to somewhere where they are using it. That's just classic rat territory, that is. This area is an overgrown area that's got trimmed down. There's broken pallets, buckets, bits and bobs leading down to the Surrey Lagoon. It will be a prime area for rats. Just 10 metres that way is a food source. They'll find liquid in between. They'll live here quite happily. So if you've got activity here, baiting along a wall and try and get that down tight so that it stays in situ, and then trying to put your board against that as much as you can, and then you've got your baiting point. Check that again tomorrow and see what's happened. Again, if it's gone, rebait it, double it up. If it's not gone, hold your nerve 4 or 5 days and then have another go. A silage pit or something against inside of here. This area all the way up here could do with being kept clear, trimmed down, sprayed off, whichever. It's just less attractive for rats to come to, Once they get here, they can't really find a home, so they move on. I think with just nettles and stuff all growing up here, they can make an undetected home, and they've made home before you know about it. But having these are just a bait station that has been made just out of a tub works okay, really. You can just open the top and kill it. Arguably the hole's been cut a bit too big, but yeah, they do work just using things around you. Like if I was here baiting this now, this piece of that works very well, because I could put my bait on a board against there and then put this against there, and that would work. If there was activity here now, we would put this bait against here, it's fixed down, 100 grams, then we could just get this bit of old sheet in and lean that against there. Again, perfect, using something around here the rats are pretty familiar with. They'll run along there and take a feed quite quickly.
Harmonix rodent paste is the latest addition to Lodi's Gems range. It contains a new active called cholecalciferol with a new mode of action. It allows quicker control of rodents on the farm. It uses less bait of up to 50% and quick control. I hope you found those videos useful. Please refer to the Lodi UK website for further information. Always follow crew guidance when using rodenticides. Please use them safely and follow the label on the packs at all times.